Yo, this is the Driz. What's up?
Well, good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Dr. J, how you doing?
I'm great. Y'all are rocking it tonight.
Thank you, Dr. J. You are a retired sex therapist and professor of human sexuality and an erotica author, correct?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been doing the sex therapist? How long were you a sex therapist for?
Oh, wow. You really want me to date myself?
Is that just as bad as him asking your age?
Yeah, I was just going to say, is that as bad? Like, am I that much of a jerk?
Well, you know, if I were to say 40 years, is that going to tell you a lot?
I mean, hey, sometimes you're just born and you get right into shit, you know? So you're 40.
So you're...
Yeah, I was born and I decided I'm going to be a sex therapist.
Yeah, I know all about sex.
You know, it's funny. It's one of those things that I fell into. I dropped out of college.
Okay.
And couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, and I ended up with a job at Adam and Eve in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and that started the launch.
You were one of the first people that worked for them, correct?
Not well. I think they started in 75, and I had my first job with them in 76.
Wow. What did you do?
I packed condoms.
Okay.
It was a very exciting job. What can I tell you?
That's interesting. Like, did a bunch of condoms come in a box and you just had, like, packages? And
I
you had
packed
to put them
stuff
in,
for Target, and some of the stuff people
Well,
order is crazy.
When you place your order, I might be the person filling that order for you.
Okay, yeah,
okay.
That's why I said that's what I do for Target, and some of the things they have is like. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Or some of the things people order, and you're just you're rifling through panties for a pair of panties.
Yeah.
And you just feel like a creep, like in the department.
We would hang blow up condoms and hang them on the Christmas tree for decoration.
How long did you work with them?
Let's see, about a year and a half, and then I figured out, based on what I was doing, that health education was going to be the route that I was going to go and focus on sexuality, so I immediately went back to school after that. So, 3 degrees later, everything's wild and crazy.
And where are you from, Dr. J? North Carolina?
Yeah, I grew up outside Chapel Hill on a tobacco farm.
What's that? On a tobacco farm? Wow.
That is cool.
That's badass.
I know. But most people are just kind of surprised to think, you know, how did you do what you do, and what does your family think of this?
Yes.
So it's always fun.
What do they think of it?
Well, I'm definitely the colorful member of the family.
Yes.
Some of them own me, some of them don't. It just depends on, you know, how the sun's going that day.
I was going to ask if being from the South, if it was harder. Like, I would just feel like it's more reserved.
It was very hard. And I worked in a reproductive health center in Raleigh for 5 years before I came to Florida to do my PhD. And it was like having Jesse Helms in your backyard. And, you know, I learned a lot about life from dealing with situations that were really tough for a lot of people. But, you know, it helped me put things in perspective. And I hope I've spent my life trying to do really sex-positive things and, you know, keep people going down the pleasure road.
So I got a question. Being like a sex therapist, like what exactly does that mean? Like when somebody comes to you for sex counseling, like is it like, hey, I'm having problems in the bedroom, what should I do? Well,
it can be a mix of things. I mean, the thing that most people don't realize is that a lot of professionals never get training in sexuality, which was one of the things that was part of my practice. I've been all over the world, trained in any number of places, and have worked with medical doctors, nurses, PAs, and they get very little training in sexuality. So it's, how do you make people comfortable to even ask a question to you? I went to a physician who hired me for the day to provide feedback for her on how she handled sexuality issues with her clients. And she was really surprised at the end of the day when I said, you got a lot of work to do. You don't even meet people where they are. You don't even make the topic of sexuality be something that you can talk about. They just like put it in a box, it's over there, and only if the client or patient brings it up do you discuss it. Well, that's not really what the job is. You're the expert, you bring it up. How are things going at home? So if they're interested in new content, how do we do things differently in the bedroom, a sex therapist can give them a place to be, to talk about things, to explore new ideas, work out communication things. And I believe one of you folks over here was looking at Match.com the other day.
Slim was told to look on there.
Yeah, our friend Brooke
was talking about that on your show, that somebody needed to get on Match.com.
Yeah,
I'm listening. You folks don't think I listen.
Yeah, it was weird. Our friend Brooke had told us that because I said I had done the Plenty of Fish, and she said, no, get off of Plenty of Fish, because the problem is you're not going to really meet anybody on Plenty of Fish. You got to go through Match.com, and her reasoning was because they're paying for it.
Let me give you the sex therapy piece. It's going to be sex therapy. It's not going to be what Brooke said.
Okay.
The person that helped create Match.com is a biological anthropologist. And she has studied 4 different personality types, looking at how the brain is functioned with serotonin, dopamine, estrogen, and testosterone. So you take a test, and it gives you information about how you are. And then she's determined that there are certain people that actually are drawn to other people. So if I ask you the question, do you think birds of a feather flock together or opposites attract? What do you think?
I think opposites attract.
No,
I think
birds of a feather.
Wow, they're all looking at me like, what a fucking retard. And I'm like, no, like opposites attract. That's what I think. I find girls, because I'm kind of like a nerdy guy, and I've dated like nerdy girls, and it just doesn't work. Like, I need like the complete fucking opposite, you know?
Here's the answer. Both of you are right. Because in those 4 personality types, if you have dopamine, you're attracted to people who have dopamine. If you have serotonin, you're attracted to people who have serotonin. And if you have lots of testosterone, you're going to be attracted to someone with lots of estrogen. So you have both. Birds of a feather flock together and opposites attract.
Wow, because you can't even control who your friends are. Like, as far as life goes, you hate some people by how they look. You love some people just for who they are. Like, you can't control it. It's a chemical. It's a chemical thing. Like,
yeah, it's in your head, and it's a vibration in your body, and you resonate with those people around you.
Yes.
So if you go to Match.com, take out the test, you're liable to find somebody that vibrates like you do.
So you think that, so you're saying it's like Match.com is more well-researched, the test is more, like, it's gonna give you better results than like a free dating site where you just sign up and start messaging people.
She's telling you to get a vibrator.
Did you say I should get a vibrator? Oh, okay.
Vibrators are always good.
Okay. All right.
Science,
I'm going to go get a vibrator.
This is hard science.
So, what do I do with the vibrator? Do I put it in my ass, or do I just suck on it? Like, do I just hold it up against my balls?
It depends in a moment what it is you think you're interested in, because our bodies have lots of nerve endings and provide wonderful sensations. You just might want to experiment.
Experiment, yeah. I might just like it on the ear. I might just like vibrate it on my ear, and it'd be all right. I'd be like, yeah, this is hot.
Well, you might also like somebody else to be vibrating it on you for you.
Lucas. Yeah.
Lucas, come here. I want to try something.
Lucas, bring the vibrator.
We have our intern coming out here, Dr. J.
So are you seeing how this permission to talk about sex part works for a sex therapist? You got to set the environment so people feel comfortable to talk to you.
I was going to ask how you make people. How do you make people comfortable to talk to you?
Oh, you tell me. How have I done it so far?
You're pretty good. Well, here's really interesting. We have our intern here, a Sleepy Lucas, and I don't think he's really sexual, so I'm going to have him ask you. We have a sex therapist on the phone right now. So, what do you want to? What do you need to know about sexuality? Like, what do you want? Like, okay, you have a free session with a sex therapist. Ask her something.
Ask her your inner. Ask.
Go.
questions.
I really have no
Now
questions.
y'all put him on the spot. I
He
tell
said-
you.
He just said he has no questions.
So we didn't make him feel comfortable. We're not sex therapists.
Was that really bad sex
That's
therapy?
right. That's right. You
Okay.
never want to put anybody on the spot. They get to do that for themselves.
Put yourself on the spot, Sleepy Lucas.
Like I said, I have no questions.
He's got all the answers.
You tell them. You tell them you're not ready. No questions.
Go to your room.
So this is what you got to do. By the end of this interview, you can get him to ask you a real personal sexual question.
Yeah.
Then that will prove your skill as a sex therapist.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, let me tell you, I'm in that retired world right now, so I get to spend my time doing some other things.
What are the other things, Dr. J? You write books? How many do you have?
I have, let's see, well, mainly I do short fiction stories. I have 4 on Amazon. I have 2 on Radish Fiction.
Okay.
And I'm working on a novel and 2 novellas right now.
What's a novella?
Short novel.
Short novel?
It's about 25,000 words.
Okay.
A shorter story.
What is your favorite of those that you've written?
Well, I have an excerpt that I was going to do for you.
Cool.
That's in Best Women's Erotica, the book that just came out at the end of December.
Okay.
And it's kind of an interesting story because a lot of people think because I'm a sex therapist that I'm going to write stories that are specific to that world. And maybe I have it so integrated in who I am that it comes out that way anyway. But I was coming back from Austin, Texas. I was in the airport in Atlanta. I was walking down the concourse, and I looked to my right, and there was a shoe shine station, and I looked to my left, and there was coffee. And I kept looking back and forth, and this idea for a story just slammed over the top of my head, came in full form. And that's the story that's in Best Women's Erotica, and it's called Infused Leather.
Nice. Could you read us that excerpt?
I can. Are you ready for that?
Yep, I'm muting the mics
you
right
already
now.
had, who did you have? Sleepy Lucas reading bedtime? I'm not sure I'm going to be that good.
He is good. He is good.
He's nearly peerless in his field.
He's only seconded by
Okay.
Ryder Doll.
Too funny. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here goes. Excerpt of Infused Leather by Dr. J. For my shoe shine event, we picked a time when we knew the airport would have a lull in activity. The height of the chair was set so the client could survey the airport and ignore the shoe shine man. My knee-high boots were perfect for today. Rarely, if ever, did Harold shine women's shoes, but he would shine mine. So here I was, workday finally over, considering how to manage that first big step into the chair. Harold pulled out his step stool for me to climb on as he held out his hand for balance. I settled myself in the high chair. Harold selected his cleaning items and went to work on my boots. His intensity intrigued me. He moved with single-mindedness, using loving action with each stroke. Noting that, I made my move. I pulled the fabric of my flowing skirt up into my lap and flashed my bare lips, outlined by my makeshift leather shoelace cutout panties, my G-string made of shoestring. His hands froze in midair. A brief, lopsided grin appeared on his face, and then he went back to work. The more he watched the view between my legs, the more he cleaned my leather boots by feel. As he shined them, he got hard, and in turn, it made me wet. He seemed to be cleaning away something hurtful. Harold, let me do your shoes. Are you sure, Ange? I nodded my head and we traded places. He caught me off guard when he slipped off his leather belt and placed it on the stool. Harold had a leather fetish, and now he knew I knew it. Ange, can you work it over good? I can, Hal. I sat on his belt. My pussy lips cradled the edges, and I slathered my juices on his strip of cowhide while I made him a shoe shine. I adjusted myself several times so he understood I'd coated it well. After creating my special leather dance, I stood to stretch and move forward, standing closer to him. When I crouched down again, I grazed my hot wetness over the laces of his boots every crisscross section of them. I took my sweet time as I raked myself over the bumps and the eyelets, arousing myself. I suspected you liked a dirty Hal just like me. So what is your leather connection? My dad insisted I clean and shine his shoes and belts before he beat me. Every time I shine shoes, he loses his power because I don't get beat. I take control. He held my gaze and an unspoken moment passed between us. What about you? I had to pull the leather laces out of my uncle's boots. He used them to tie me up. I keep trying to get his gruff voice out of my head. You know I like them tight. Now every time I focus on leather laces, I own them. Hal pursed his lips and nodded. When I take control, I win. I smiled. We're a pair. Yeah, confirmed little leather freaks. Over a long moment, we held each other's gaze, locked in our own space, transported away from everything around us. Angie? Yeah, Hal? You want to take it another step? Well, what did you have in mind? Sex? Sex? Yeah, let's put pleasure into something that hurt us in the past. Well, how? In any way that feels right. Like how we just marked our leather for each other when we shoe shined. Do you think it'll help us? I can only hope, Ange. And that's how our leather sex began.
That's awesome.
I just got one question. Is this a period piece?
Just one?
This is a period
Is this
piece.
a period piece? Because I'm like,
Wait, like what kind of period?
Did you see the Facebook message I sent?
No. What kind of period? Like, are you asking like a time piece?
Oh yeah,
or
like
is
time
she on a
period. No, like time
Because
period.
Slambo's weird. He's got crazy.
No, I was wondering what you like. I'm picturing like the '60s, the '50s, maybe. It's
Goes
like
along with what
He
I
said
said.
60s.
the '60s.
Yes. When
Well,
this took
as I
place.
said, that was an excerpt. There's more in the front and more to the back, so it might give you a better sense when you read the story to see what's said.
Slambo, you
Was it?
You
like,
said you liked that it was in the 50s?
Yeah, you like the
Like that it was.
I was just wondering.
It was a long time ago.
Slambo likes older women. He does.
I like the old
does.
times.
He likes MILFs.
He actually admitted to us
Why
once
is-
that he prefers women that are in their 80s.
80-year-old
no,
Mongolians.
that's not true. But
Dr. J is not old enough for you, but how would you?
Well, you know, if you work a story really well, then you leave enough space in the story for the reader to put it in the place they want.
Yeah.
I like that answer.
Hey, do I have time to read you another real quickie? I'll do flash fiction, and I have a little short one.
Sure.
Well, let me. Well,
Oh.
hold on. Lucas, do you want to hear another story?
Lucas wants to hear
Yeah.
your story.
Okay, all right.
I
As
think
long
that's
as the
Slambo.
intern says it's okay.
Our intern said yes.
Okay, this is less than 500 words, and it's called Imprint. Where's your old typewriter? Asked Alexandra. It's in the hall closet. Stefan looked up from his art easel in the studio. His seductive gaze held her as did his stance, edgy and ready. You need it for what? A project from a writing class, said Alex as she bent over to pick it up. Alexandra set the machine on her desk and reread the assignment. Address your specific audience. Type a communication to imprint the reader's soul like a key strike of an old typewriter stamps a letter through the ribbon onto the paper. After loading a sheet of paper, she typed. To Stefan, I want to be your medium for erotic art. Permit me to be your muse. Do carnal things with me. Explore me to your liking. Choose the angle that best exemplifies your work and then photograph me, paint me, film me. Bind my skin and push my limits. I want to experience your presence by the dig of a rope as it holds me in place. Pinch me, clamp me, hook me in the ass. Smack my skin to create your desired color palette, and then smack me some more. Let me be life art for you. Fill my holes and decorate my skin with dripped wax, then fill me again. Document what you will. Just devour me, devour me, devour me. I totally surrender myself to you. Only you. Have I earned the right to submit? You know what's best for me. In quiet moments, I dream of your tongue and your fingers and your cock filling me. As extensions of you, I worship them. My spirit soars to the idea. Together, we can affirm life as we hover in the space between pain and pleasure, lust and love with our hearts and minds. Sear my body and my soul. Just brand me. Alexa left a typewriter, horny and needful. Dare I release the tension writing created? She walked into the kitchen, grabbed an orange and a fork. She jammed the fork tine in the peel and pulled back. A squirt of juice landed on her chest. The scent filled the room. After peeling, she stared at the naked orange. She closed her eyes and plunged her thumb inside. Again and again and again. It was Stefan. It was her. A creak in the hallway interrupted her, and she opened her eyes. Wrapping the orange in paper towels, she headed back to her project, and a new sheet of paper perched in the typewriter. Alexandra's chest tightened when she leaned closer. Stefan's words. Further south, her pelvis throbbed. She flushed with heat, and her heart skipped a beat. To Alexandra, your words inspired me. Please be my muse. You as a medium for sexual art would be a cherished gift. Any modeling requires training. Textures will be our first theme. Bring the orange and the peel. Come now to the studio. I await you. And bring the fork.
Yeah. Yo, that was awesome. I'm a rapper. My name's The Driz. And we let you read like 2 erotic stories. So I was wondering if you would be interested in hearing my new rap from my debut album. It's called Erotica Fixation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is called Candles Everywhere. All right, here it goes. Let me get a dope, sexy beat. Sexy, make it sexy. Yeah. I met this girl on Tinder. She came into my house and I told her, hey, wait outside. I went into my bedroom and I was like, shit, I need some candles. I grabbed one of my candles and I lit it. And I stood there with a candle in my hand and looked around and I was like, where should I put this candle? So I set the candle on the floor and I was like, damn, this isn't enough candles. I grabbed about 6 more candles and lit them. Then my whole house lit on fire. That bitch burnt in the fire and I jerked off. Yeah.
Oh,
That was wrong.
that was rough.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, y'all are hysterical.
Would you go on tour with the Driz, Dr. J?
He writes good erotic stories, right?
If I have need of candles, yeah.
He likes candles. You gotta be careful with those things, though. They can catch the house on fire.
Yeah, they can burn his girlfriend. Oh, jeez. Oh. Dr. J, do you also do a podcast?
No, I don't. Should I? Should I get into doing podcasts?
Yes, you should.
Absolutely, you would be great. Yeah.
I think
Well,
you should.
I'm just gonna have to use your expertise, and you can just shoot me down that road and tell me how to do it, because I'm like, yeah, I do fun things.
No,
I don't know
if that's
anything about
something-
doing a podcast.
If that's something you want to do, I can get you started on like really easy, cheap equipment.
And
everything,
I just think your subject matter, like just like advice, maybe that kind of a thing, like could definitely be a big thing.
You'd probably like
Well,
be really
cool.
good with interviewing other people
Yeah,
in like the sex industry too. I think would be great.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool. Well, then I'll just set up a time and chat with all of you and get the information. I'll be good to go.
Who are your sisters in smut?
Who are they? The wonderful Misha Elliott and Oleander Plume?
Yes.
Yes. We're wild. We must talk 25 times a day, every day of the week.
Are they also
Read
authors?
this. Read this. What do you think? Read this. What do you think? Who is that silly person on Twitter saying this stuff?
It's Slambo.
They are truly two awesome women that I have been wonderfully fortunate to meet, and we support each other in ways the world will never know.
It's
Chris?
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. J. We have to wrap this up, but where can everybody find
All
you?
right.
Yeah, you always gotta wrap it
Thanks.
up.
Thanks for having me tonight, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Where can everyone find you, Dr. J?
They can find me on my page, www.drjauthor.com, and on Twitter at drjauthor.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. J. It was great.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
You too.
Take care.
All righty, bye.
Bye. We'll be back with David.
Yeah.
David.